people voluntarily cooperating with one another in a rational way.
Thank you for the question. Next question.
Yes. David, I have a question for each of you, actually. But David, my question for you is, it seems that your view is it's better to be a slave than to be poor. And I kind of want to see how you feel about my statement and hear your argument. And then for Yaron, my question for you is, when government fails to do as we want through the democratic process, is there a point where it's proper to have a revolution, to initiate force? And if so, what does society look like at that point?
David?
I think that Yaron said that he believed in voluntary cooperation among free people. That is what democracy happens to be. We have that here in the United States, not as much as we like, because there's too much wealth and power in the hands of a tiny elite who are using that to get an outsized voice in our democracy. But fundamentally, we have a democracy, we have a social contract, and together we are making decisions which actually have made us a lot richer. We've become a much wealthier society over the past 70 years, in part because of the proactive role of government and the decisions that we have made together to strengthen government, to enable us to build more wealth, to invest in our human capital, invest in our physical capital.
Is there a choice, though, must we choose between freedom and slavery?
I don't think that slavery is on the table here. Nobody's talking about slavery. I think that the closest thing we've come to slavery in this country is when we had slavery, and it was slavery that was a institution run by the free market, unchecked by government. We had the Civil War. We had the Civil War.
All right. So we've raised the question of freedom, the question of slavery. The question to you was, is it so bad? Do we have revolution coming? And where do you stand on revolution?
Let me just quickly address the issue of slavery.
Okay.
No matter what created slavery, it was force that created slavery. Clearly, I'm advocating for a government that extracts force and therefore that abolishes slavery. Slavery is wrong, and it's the government's job to make sure it doesn't happen. And I agree about the Civil War. I think we should have gone to war in the Civil War because rights were being violated. That's the job of government, to stop the violation of rights. What was the question?
Well, if I might rephrase it and say, if it is your position that government has failed in such a massive way in terms of its philosophy and its execution, what do we do? Do we have a revolution?
Look, the Founding Fathers revolted against their government for a lot less than what we have to suffer under our government. A lot less. A stamp tax, a tax on tea. I mean, in Seattle, they're taxing coffee. Everything is taxed. So, but look, it's a different context and a different world. And I am not an advocate for armed revolution, for many reasons, among others, that we'd lose. What I am for is this is fundamentally, there's a sense in which government needs the sanction of the people in order to govern. People agree with David. That's why we've got the government that we have. The people, the overwhelming majority of the people, believe in one form or another, slightly to the left, slightly to the right, with David. If you believe in something different, what we need to do is convince them that they're wrong. Is to convince them that their ideas are wrong. This is an intellectual, philosophical, ideological battle, right? But it's a battle of the mind. It's a battle of reason. It is not a battle of arms. And we're not going to win the battle unless we engage it at this level and try to convince enough people that the way we're heading is the wrong way.
I think
that's the only way. That's the only way.
I think you've covered the ground. Let's go to the next question, please. Thank you very much.
So the fact that
is it a good thing? I want to bring it back to my question.
I believe in the separation of government from economics. So I don't believe that government should be involved in redistributing wealth, in managing capitalism. I don't believe it should be involved in the economy. You want to be a socialist under freedom? You can, as long as you can convince other people to go live with you in a commune and to each according to his needs, from each according to his ability. You're free to do so. If you want to bail out Detroit, get a bunch of people together, pool your money voluntarily together and go bail out Detroit. That's called
Is it a good thing to have significant wealth disparity as a product of society?
I think if it's a product of freedom, then yes, absolutely. And again, I am a strong believer that equality of outcome is an evil goal. The regime that came closest to achieving equality of outcome is the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, where if you were different, if you had glasses, if you were a little smarter than everybody else, if you had a college degree, you went out into killing fields and you were shot. Now that's equality. And they killed 40% of their own population, and the remaining people, even then there wasn't equality, right? Who among you is equal? So I don't believe in equality. I think it's an evil idea, an awful idea. What the founders, when they talked about equality, they talked about equality before the law. In those days, if you were an aristocrat or you were a peasant and you were accused of murder, the aristocrat got a much lighter sentence than the peasant did. That's how Europe functioned. What the founding fathers objected to was that kind of inequality. The government should treat everybody the same. But the marketplace is going to treat us all different because we bring different things to the marketplace. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, I think we have our clash here in terms of what the role of government might be, at least as to outcomes when it comes to relative wealth. Let me turn to a point in